Hey everybody, it's Ryan from Pi Records, and I'm here with Xavier from Birdcage. How are you, Xavier?
Yeah, pretty well, thank you, Ryan. Yep. It's
Awesome.
it's 11 o'clock in the evening in Melbourne at the moment. It's more 9 a.m. where you are in
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, is that right?
Yep.
Cool.
Uh, it's always kind of difficult to schedule where it works out for people in Australia. We did
Yeah.
and China was another one. We did an interview with the Glycerines. I don't know if you know them.
I don't know, no.
They're from right outside of Melbourne too. Uh,
Okay, cool.
anyways, tell me a little bit about your band for our listeners that haven't heard of you.
Well, Birdcage is loosely a surf music band. We I sort of started the band about probably around 10 years ago now. Uh, we I'm not quite sure how to describe this really. I guess it's kind of it's loosely surf music, but we play sort of fairly fast, sort of fairly abrasive kind of style of surf music, I suppose. So there's a fairly strong kind of punk influence in what we're doing. A lot of us are from actually from punk and even like extreme metal backgrounds originally. All of us with fairly. I'll go into more detail going forward in this interview, but all of us are from fairly like sort of punk and metal backgrounds, and then with all fairly eclectic music tastes as well. So I used to play in a band called Roscop. It was a grindcore band for quite a few years, and I played in another band called Fuck I'm Dead here in Melbourne as well. And there was a gore grind band called The Day of Nothing, which I did for quite a few years. I played bass in that one, so guitar in the other two and bass in that last one. And our bass player, Jason Fuller, played in the band called Blood Duster, which who were like quite a successful band playing grindcore and sort of grindcore bass kind of stuff with sort of rock and roll elements, especially in the later records that they made.
That actually sounds
And
familiar.
our other guitar. Oh right, yeah, they're a fairly big band in Australia and did have some fair bit of success overseas as well. Yeah, and then our other guitarist Robert Burnett played in quite a few really good punk bands down here as well. He was in a band called Cut Sick and another band called Useless Children. After that.
So it sounds like you guys have a really, like you said, eclectic background. Why do you think that so many punks and people who are into metal, why they gravitate towards surf? What is it about that element um that kind of gravitates people towards it?
I think I can't speak for anyone else, but I mean, for me, there's something about the sound of surf music that it's one of the earlier forms of kind of high energy, loud guitar music, I suppose. And so there seem to be a lot of kind of elements and I guess artistic approaches within that are kind of similar to other more recent sort of loud guitar based kind of types of styles of music and genres. So yeah, I mean, like specifically one of the recordings that I heard that really made me think about actually playing surf music was the Ventures Live in Japan '65 recordings, which I think I heard them first on a CD compilation or as a CD release, but I think they were also released as like a two part vinyl release back in the day. I think I'm not sure. So I'm not super. I think I have one half of it on vinyl and have the whole thing on CD. Anyway, those recordings are quite remarkable. For 1965, there's this sort of this really incredible power and sort of speed and energy in those records. They're like it's like a punk, it's like a live punk record or something, but it's surf music from the 60s. And it's when I first heard that recording, it really made me sit up and think, gee, that's, you know, what a remarkably sort of high energy, like intense kind of you know, performance and recording. And yeah, really, and it just really got me thinking. So I mean, and this is going back quite a few years, but and I was playing in like some pretty fast, pretty crazy sort of metal bands at the time. I just thought to myself, well, it's just a really vibrant and interesting and sort of cool form of music, and you know, sort of got the ball rolling and got me thinking about playing that kind of stuff myself.
So tell me about your releases that you have so far. Where can people find them? What formats are they on? Things like that.
Yeah, we have we did a short EP of based on a couple of live recordings, which is just in our Bandcamp, which I'll dig up the URLs for that stuff. But there's a Bandcamp that has I think all of our releases are available on there. So that was just released digitally, the EP first of all. Then we did a first album, which is a self-titled album, which is on compact disc. I think that's sold out. I'd have to check. Forgive me, I'm really not good. I'm not on top of that kind of stuff terribly well. I'm sort of more concerned with like writing and making music than selling it to people. But yeah, then more recently, just last year, we released our second album called Wave Machine, and that one is available as a digital download on Bandcamp, or you can also buy it on vinyl as well. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Did you guys put those out yourself?
Yeah, sort of. So our bass player, Jason Fuller, has a record label called Goat Sound, and so I think both the compact disc, the first album and second album, are on a split release between his label Goat Sound and another label called Gamma Grind, which is one of our friends' local labels as well. So they put the money together to do the pressings. Yeah.
That's awesome. You have a vinyl. That's a big step to get your music on vinyl.
Yeah, we're really thrilled to be able to do that. It's really, really, really cool. Yeah, it's always nice to have the big artwork and all that. It's great.
Yeah, totally. So tell me about the scene in Melbourne, about the surf bands. Are there any rockabilly bands, punk bands that you kind of remain friends with and kind of mix well at a show with?
To be honest, because we were mostly just well connected within sort of metal and punk scene, we've struggled a little bit to find a sort of a scene, you know, or a bit of a niche or audience to play for locally. We still play like with our friends' bands that are often punk and metal bands and stuff, and that works pretty well most of the time. Like and you know, most people are friends, people that we know, or at least acquaintances, you know, or people that saw us in our other bands. So you know, people are pretty receptive to what we're doing most of the time, which is good. So it's funny, we're in a funny sort of place because of our musical background, but the few shows that we played have gone pretty well by and large, so not complaining at all. Yeah, it's sort of
what have you been doing during lockdown? Have you been writing, or have you had as many restrictions that you couldn't get together?
Yeah, we've had a lot of restrictions here in Melbourne. The middle of last year, which was our winter, we were locked down for at least 2 months, maybe 3 months. So there was definitely no playing live, no rehearsing, no getting together at all for the middle of last year. And then that was one sort of wave of COVID that we had. And then round about sort of the end of last year and into sort of January, February, which is our summer, things started to come back to normal for a little while, which was great, and then we were able to start rehearsing a little bit. The whole thing has been fairly disruptive, to say the least, and we have spent a lot of time writing. In fact, almost writing a bit too much. I was just speaking to our bass player Jason on the phone today, and just saying that I've just made a concerted effort to stop stop writing because we've got too much stuff, and like every time we get to rehearsal, like all of us have got too many things to work on, and it's getting a little bit like there's a bit of a backlog of stuff to work on as a band. There's too many riffs, too many bits and pieces. So I'm going to try and call it a little bit so we can kind of work through the stuff that we've already got to put together. Yeah.
When are you gonna record those? When can you get together to record those? And are you gonna record them all and put them out, as different EPs, or are you gonna put them all out together?
The next thing will definitely be another album, which we'll work towards. But I think we're a fair way off recording or anything. The more recent stuff that I've sort of brought more, so the material I've more recently brought to rehearsal has been there's been about 3 or 4 new songs, and our bass player's got a couple as well that we've worked on. So we're just in the early stages of putting them together. I mean, we're arranging stuff and it's sounding good. I think it's always a bit hard to tell, but yeah, recording's a long way off, but it'll be another album for sure. Yeah, we'll be doing another record. Yeah.
Awesome. Do you have radio stations down there that play you? Record labels that are interested in you?
Yeah. There are a couple of we're really lucky actually. Melbourne has there's a radio station called PDS and a radio station called Triple R, and both of those sort of are really good local radio stations that play really good eclectic range of musical styles and genres. And radios. So there's been shows on both of those local radio stations that have supported us fairly well over the last few years, and played our stuff occasionally, which is great, really good. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. So people can find you on Bandcamp. You're also on social media. Do you communicate with your audience fairly regularly on there?
I'm running an Instagram page for the band, but I'm not have been very active on it recently. I mean, I will only just post it if we're actually really busy, like releasing something or doing something specifically, or playing a show or something like that. We were supposed to launch this latest album about 2 weeks ago, but that got cancelled because went into a snap lockdown for 2 weeks. So that's been postponed till the 20th of August. Yeah, it's been really kind of complicated and weird trying to do a band in this sort of environment. I'm sure it's been very similar for bands in the United States and everywhere else. It's just really challenging.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard, I think, mostly because they can't get out and play in front of people, and I think that's where people find most of their joy and their enjoyment out of playing in front of people, and they can write all the music they want, but it seems like it's more about people being with people.
Yeah, no, I think you almost forget what you're doing it for too if you're only rehearse and write all the time. It's a bit strange way to run it.
So before we sign off, is there anything else you'd like to add or say to maybe our listeners or listeners that know your band?
I would just just encourage everyone to check out, especially our new album Wave Machine. It's like we're really happy with how it came out. We spent myself and our bass player are both producers, sound engineers, and so we spent a lot of time recording and producing and mixing it, and we think it's come out really well. I hope people check it out. It's a little bit different to the style. Yeah, it's a slightly different style of surf music. It's definitely less traditional in the way that our sort of guitar tones and the way we sort of sound. So if anyone wants something that's a little bit more, I guess slightly more sonically aggressive, perhaps. I mean, not. It's still, it's still kind of surf, but yeah, that might appeal to you. So check us out. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Xavier.
Yeah.
I really appreciated your time. Being our time difference is so great that you were able to do this at such a late hour. Really appreciate it, and I love your band.
Oh, thank you so much. I should just quickly shout out the URL for the Bandcamp is the-birdcage.bandcamp. So it's pretty easy to find. And so if you head there, you can get your hands on your album as a digital download or vinyl, which is kind of cool. Yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Cool.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Xavier.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too.